I'd like to go ahead and say thank you very much for attending tonight's show of Cruise America with American Cruise Lines. Cynthia here is going to go over some different destinations and about the ships. And we're going to keep our chat list. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the chat section, and then we will get back with you with the answers. Well, thank you.
Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and pull up my screen here. Okay. Can you see my screen, Jennifer?
I sure can.
Okay, wonderful.
Oh, no, I see you. I'm sorry.
Okay, let me check here. Let me check, make sure. Share screen.
There you go.
Okay. All right. I should be getting good at this. I've done so many of them now over the last year. So thank you so much for inviting me this evening to present to your guests. My name's Cindy Kristen. I'm the sales manager with American Cruise Lines. We're the largest USA river cruise operator. We have 13 ships in our fleet, which I'm going to introduce you to this evening, as well as 35 different itineraries across the United States. And what's great about our product is we're right here in your backyard. You can cruise close to home and explore these wonderful areas along the river and the coastal waterways. So I'm going to start off with a quick video, and then after that, we'll talk about all the itineraries.
America, a nation rich in history and boundless optimism, from sea to shining sea. From the epic route of Lewis and Clark to the revolutionary spirit of our founding fathers, we are a nation of pioneers, ideas, and adventures. With American Cruise Lines, you can experience it all. Bask in the scenic beauty of the heartland. Savor the tradition of a New England lobster bake. Feel the warmth of true Southern hospitality. Step back in time aboard our modern riverboats and explore what defines us as a nation. Cruise close to home with American Cruise Lines. Visit AmericanCruiseLines.com or call for a free cruise guide. Small ship cruising done perfectly.
Okay, so small ships, and right here in the USA, we do 35 wonderful itineraries. As you can see here on the map, we do the entire Mississippi, the lower Mississippi round trip from New Orleans or New Orleans, Memphis, and the upper Mississippi from St. Louis to Minneapolis. We also do the tributaries of the Mississippi, the Ohio from St. Louis to Pittsburgh, and St. Louis, Nashville on the Cumberland rivers. And then moving out to the Pacific Northwest, we have the beautiful Columbia and Snake rivers. That's taking you from Portland, Oregon to Clarkston, Washington, or reverse. And then you can see we have lots of great itineraries along the coastline, like the Maine and Harbor. We've got New England Isles. We've got the Hudson that we do in the fall. We have the Chesapeake Bay, which we do out of Baltimore. And then moving down to Florida, we have a couple of great itineraries. One does round trip Jacksonville, just the rivers here in Florida. And then we have an historic South itinerary from Jacksonville to Charleston or on up to Baltimore. Then moving out west again, we have the beautiful Puget Sound and San Juan Islands. That's going to be out of Seattle. And then we have 3 wonderful itineraries in Alaska, which we are operating in Alaska on our small 175 passenger ship. They're out of Juneau or Seattle. So let's talk a little bit more about these wonderful itineraries, because there's always so much to explore here in the United States. I think sometimes we don't realize how much wonderful history we have and beautiful scenery. And Mississippi is truly an example of that. There's so much history along the Mississippi. It's such an important river for our country. There's a lot of trade going along on the river. It's a very forceful river. It's a mighty river. It's muddy in some areas, but it's certainly full of a lot of mystery and a lot of history as well. So you'll hear all about that, of course, on board from our historians. We have quite a few different choices, 9 different itineraries. We mix it up on the Mississippi. Very popular for us is going to be the lower Mississippi out of New Orleans or Memphis. And those are typically 7-night cruises. You can do all the way on up to Minneapolis from New Orleans. We offer that in 2 choices. The Grand Heartland, a 14-night, or a 21-night that's going to make more stops. And then we have the tributaries there from St. Louis to Pittsburgh, which is going to be a 10-night, and St. Louis, Nashville on a 7-night itinerary. So depending on the part of the river that you're on, the scenery really changes quite dramatically. And there's a lot of very different things to see here along the Mississippi River. Now, the lower Mississippi, we do operate from mid-February through the end of the year. The upper Mississippi, we operate during the summertime, and that is because that portion of the river from St. Louis to Minneapolis tends to have higher water. And the same goes with the St. Louis, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis, Nashville. Those are usually operated in the summertime. Now we have 4 ships on the Mississippi River, and I'm going to show you those ships in a moment. We'll move on to our next area of the country, which is our East Coast. And we're so happy because, we did start sailing a few weeks ago, and we started right here out of Florida, going from Jacksonville to Charleston on our historic South itinerary. And we've been operating that now, I think, going on 4 weeks. So we do that itinerary continuing on up to Baltimore if you want to do our East Coast Inland Passage. But we also have, these wonderful East Coast itineraries in Maine, which is going to be round trip out of Portland, Maine on a 7-night. We have our New England Isles, which is out of Providence, Rhode Island, and that's a 7-night. And we have a Grand New England, which is a 10-night itinerary. We also have a new program called the Cape Codder, and that is round trip out of Boston on a 7-night too. And then in the fall, we do the Hudson out of New York. So we have a lot. These are done on small coastal ships. They range in size from 100 to 175 passengers. And there's that Southeast itinerary. I'm sorry, I said it was East Coast, but it's a Southeast itinerary, the one out of Florida from Jacksonville to Charleston or to Baltimore. So those are great itineraries. Those are operated usually in the winter times, early spring. Moving out to the Pacific Northwest, we have the wonderful Columbia and Snake Rivers. And that will start in Portland, Oregon, or Clarkston, Washington. We offer 2 choices, a 7-night or a 10-night itinerary. Of course, there is very amazing scenery, as you can see from this photo. One of the areas that you'll see is the Mount St. Helens, the Multnomah Falls. We've got the beautiful Columbia Wine Valley. And this area is known for the journey of Lewis and Clark. So you're going to definitely hear a lot about Lewis and Clark on this particular itinerary. Now we do the Columbian Snake. We do it we start usually in mid-March and we operate through the end of October. So it is a shorter season. And we have 4 ships out there actually operating that area. Then we have the coastal program out there, which is the Puget Sound and San Juan Islands, and that operates out of Seattle. And then Alaska. Alaska is always a favorite. We have 3 wonderful itineraries in Alaska, which we're operating all of them. We start June 4th, and we'll be starting out of Ketchikan, actually. We have a modified Inside Passage program that we're doing. It's going to go from Ketchikan to Juneau, a 10-night program. Then we'll start our 10-night itineraries out of Juneau round trip, which is called our Alaskan Explorer. And then we'll do several of our Southeast Alaska itineraries round trip Juneau. Now, what's great about our Alaska, first of all, is that we are on a smaller ship. It's only 175 passengers. We can get into some very unique ports where the big ships cannot go. We're going to spend a couple days there in Glacier Bay. And we do have a naturalist that comes and speaks to our guests, and when we take them out on the tours, so they'll really get an insight view and learning, of course, about the area. as well as we have the historian on board. So we do a great job there. If you're interested in going to Alaska, there's still opportunities to go there this year. You can go with us, and we would love to have you. Alaska just absolutely never disappoints. So we have some great themed cruises because these areas are so interesting. I mentioned Lewis and Clark, and you will definitely hear about them on the Columbian Snake, as well as the Columbia Wine Valley. So these are two themed cruises that we do on the Columbian Snake. We'll do the Lewis and Clark journey, as well as the culinary and wine themed, because we take you into the Columbia Wine Valley. Now we also do on the Mississippi, on the lower Mississippi, we'll do the Civil War theme. We'll do some music themed cruises. On the upper Mississippi, we have Mark Twain themed cruises. In the East Coast up there, we will have always lobster bake themed, which we have in the summertime. And then we do some Christmas themed cruises. We do those on our historic South out of Jacksonville. We also do those on the Chesapeake Bay itinerary. And we will do some, I think it's just those two that we do the Christmas theme. But anyway, so those are some of our themes. We also do a tulip time that we do on the Puget Sound and San Juan Islands. Okay, so some great themed cruises for you. So you'll get a little bit more in depth of the area with these different kinds of themes. Now, what's great is that these cruises are very relaxing. You're going to learn a lot because we do have the historians on board and lecturers are going to bring these destinations to life for us. This is actually one of the stops we make, which is a beautiful Oak Alley on the lower Mississippi. We include on our river cruise product, we include a featured excursion every day. Now, these are hosted by local guides, and we have a nice assortment of featured tours, and you do have one each day. We do have some additional tours. They're called premium tours. If you'd like to do some additional tours outside of your included tours, they run $20 to $70. And if you're on the coastal product, we do include some featured tours, but some of them are the premium tours. So they don't necessarily have a tour every day on the coastal product. So that's a little bit different from the river and the coastal. Now, I want to mention the signature excursions because these are very limited. And if you want to do these, you need to book them ahead of time with your travel advisor. The signature excursions are really behind the scene type tours. They're very limited in availability. These would be things like doing the charter fishing on the Alaska program on the boat that can only take 5 people on each boat, or behind the scene tour at the Boonville Dam, or the tour through Hell's Canyon, the jet boat tour. Or maybe it's kayaking that you're doing in Alaska. Some of those are considered signature and must be booked ahead of time. So we've got some great tours. I will also tell you that we've got a lot of new tours this year. We've got over 40 new tours in our programs, and there are more adventure type tours. Like I mentioned, we've got kayaking, rafting, hiking, biking, schooner sailing, segways, just a lot of fun stuff. And then we've got some things like on the lower Mississippi, graveyard tours, ghost tours, brewery tours, all kinds of really fun stuff. So we have a lot of great things for you to do on these tours. And of course, if you don't want to be busy, you can just relax and enjoy, sit out on the sun deck, watch the scenery. It's a great thing to do too. But while you're there, it's a great way to go ahead and see everything. So we have our ships, which I mentioned, we do have 13 ships. We have another ship coming this year. We have our Constellation class first, which these are coastal ships. That consists of the Constellation and the Constitution. There are 170 passengers. And the Constellation is doing our Alaska program, and the Constitution does several of our East Coast programs. So it'll do our American Revolution cruise, our 10-night out of Baltimore. It'll do some of our fall Hudson cruises, and it does our Grand New England cruise. So those are the ones on the American Constitution. The Independence class of our ships which consist of our Independence, American Star, and American Spirit. These are only 100 guests, and 2 of them are placed on the east side of the country, and 1 is out on the west side. So they do all those coastals. And then we have our new modern riverboats, which we're really excited about these. We started building these a few years ago. And what's great about our company too is that we do own our own shipyard. So we build our ships, and we are building about 1 ship a year. We have our first 2, the American Song and the American Harmony, which are now placed out on the Columbia and Snake Rivers. There are 180 guests. And then we have 2 on the Mississippi, the American Jazz and the American Melody, which is coming later this year. And they're wonderful ships. They're similar to those river cruise ships that you see in Europe, only they are wider because the locks are not as narrow. They are faster, quieter, extremely environmentally friendly. They can go very remote. If we don't have an actual docking platform, we can pull right into the embankment with these ships. The mouth of the ship opens up. We have a bow of the ship or a drawbridge. You can walk off and on the ship this way. So they're quite flexible, and they're very quiet ships. They glide along the river. They're very easy for us to maneuver. So we really do love these wonderful new river boats. And then we have what you typically think for paddle wheelers, which is what you think of typically when you're thinking of cruising in the USA, is the paddle wheelers. And we have 4 of them, 3 of them that we built and 1 that we purchased and refurbished. The America is our largest paddle wheeler, and it is 180 guests. Then we have 2 that are 150, the Queen of the Mississippi and the American Pride, and then the Queen of the West, which is only 100 guests. They are all purposely built for river cruising here in the US. And we have 2 of them that are out on the Columbia and Snake and 2 on the Mississippi. And you're going to hear a lot about the paddle wheelers from your historian because they have a long history. It's really quite fun to learn about them as well. So we're taking a peek into one of our staterooms. This is our beautiful new American Melody, which is going to be introduced in late August of this year, starting on the upper Mississippi and then finishing the year on the lower Mississippi. And these small ships can take you to the most amazing destinations across the US. And with that, we do offer our elevated cruise experience. And on board, it's very low key. It's very easy peasy. There's no black tie affairs, no formal gathering. It's not pretentious or intimidating by in any means. So people really just enjoy, relax on board, and you get to know the other guests as well. So it's not only that, but we have well-designed enrichment programs. We have a historian on every itinerary that's there to tell you about the history of the area, the culture, and many, many other things. And you're not going to want to miss their discussion every single day. So we talked about the ships. We have gracious hospitality. We have a very attentive crew that's there to take care of your every need. And our guests, of course, enjoy very much the service on board. We have exquisite cuisine. We bring on the fresh meats, fish, fruits, vegetables every single day. So it's being served the freshest foods. We have lots of choices for you on the entrees and large portions. So you're going to might decide after the first day, maybe it's just a little bit too much food and you want to reduce your portion, you can do that. Excuse me. All of our ships are built here in the US. They are US flagged and 100% US crewed. So what you're going to get when you step on board is a truly all-American experience. And as I showed you in the map earlier, we have 35 wonderful itineraries covering 25 states here in America. Our staterooms are very large. We have the largest staterooms of any cruise line. And with interior entrances, every view is entirely private. So what I mean by largest staterooms of any cruise ship. So if you're on our river boats, their average is about 350 square feet up to 900 square feet. So they're quite spacious, as well as the paddle wheels and the coastals average over 300 square feet. We also have private balconies with sliding glass doors, which lead to spacious private panoramic river views from every angle. So also the stateroom amenities, we do have full-size private bathrooms. These are hotel-style bathrooms, quite large, with a walk-in shower. We have twice daily stateroom service. We have elevator access to all decks, the sliding glass doors, as mentioned before. And we do offer breakfast room service, but we are offering room service now for lunch and dinner as well for the time being. So if you'd like to dine out there on your beautiful balcony, you can certainly do that. In addition, we have onboard Wi-Fi. So some other things of our amenities packaged into your program, our gratuities are included. These are your gratuities to your onboard crew, as well as your motor coach driver and the tour guide. Our programs on the Mississippi, which would include the entire Mississippi, Ohio, Cumberland, or the Columbian Snake, we always include a one-night pre-hotel with a transfer from the hotel to the ship. We also offer a complimentary hotel package on our Alaska programs too, okay? So if it's a 7-night cruise, it is an 8-night package. So, always add in the extra day on that. And we want you to do that because our ships always leave at 1 o'clock. And so we want our guests to be there the night before. We also have onboard entertainment. We bring on local performers, dancers, musicians, and comedians, really excellent entertainment. In our onboard entertainment, we have after dinner, we have the entertainment. We continue our cocktail party, which we start before dinner, and we'll continue the cocktail party after dinner. We have all top shelf liquor for you. You can have whatever you like. In addition to the onboard entertainment, we do have the lectures on board, and we will bring people on board like artists, musicians, that they do other types of lectures and things throughout the week with our guests. We have also wine and beer at lunch and dinner. We have open seating dining. You can come into the dining room, you can sit with whomever you like, first come, first serve. And you do not have to be there when the dining doors open. So you just come in during the open dining period. Now I want to mention that we do have the room service that we now offer. And then some of our ships also have an outdoor cafe on the top deck, some of our new modern boats in one of our coastals. So you can dine out there too if you wish. So we have a few choices for you. Now, I just want to mention before I end my presentation a little bit about our COVID-19 operating protocol. We have been operating for several weeks, and we have changed quite a few things on board in order for peace of mind and the comfort of our guests and confidence in cruising with us. We now have medical personnel on board. This is something new we typically did not do in the past for river cruise companies. We now have an EMT or a nurse on board that sails with us. We have a shipboard and shoreside testing capability. So we can test our guests at any time. We're asking that they have PCR tests 4 days prior to sailing. If they have not been vaccinated, we're asked that they have this test 4 days prior to sailing. We also have coordinated with the hospitals in every port of call. On board, you're going to find a lot of touchless technology. We have PPE and sanitation requirements, small ships with capacity restrictions. Right now, we've reduced the number of guests on board by 25% intentionally for the time being. In addition, we have made our tours and our motor coaches a few number of guests on those too for more spacing. So these are just a few of our COVID-19 operating protocols. There are some other things that we have done as well, but I just want to mention these. And of course, if you do need more information on that, your travel advisor can give you some more information on our COVID-19 operating protocols. So I want to end today with our show special. We have a $600 per stateroom discount if you book and deposit by April 23rd on any new reservation. And this is not combinable with any other offer. We may have some other offers in the marketplace, maybe with a better offer, whichever is the best one. Your travel advisor is going to get that for you. So if there's anything I saw you saw today on my presentation that you would be interested in knowing more about and possibly booking, certainly check with your agents there at Travel Pro, and maybe you can qualify for, if you're booking within the next 2 weeks, you can qualify for one of these offers by April 23rd. Okay? Thank you.
That was wonderful. I really appreciate it. And I've seen a lot about your properties, your ships and everything, but the way you made it sound, I'm ready to go now. I'm looking at all of them, and I can't wait to see some of these new tours that you have. And I've had clients that have been, I think they did the oldest excursion in Memphis.
Oh, yeah.
And it was his favorite thing to do. So I really appreciate you doing this for us, and hopefully we can do it again. So that way more people can learn about that you can cruise in America, and there's so much to do and see.
That's right.
Yeah. So this is wonderful. So again, if you guys have any questions, this is our address here, gotravelpros.com. But you can also email us, Jennifer at Go Travel Pros, Glenda at Go Travel Pros, or Sarah at gotravelpros.com. And we'll be doing weekly meetings each week. We'll do a different show, and we'll do this one again because I think it's definitely worth people seeing. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Have a good evening.